The Nike Pegasus Plus and the Adidas Adizero SL2, two performance trainers with very different ranges. How do you decide which one is right for you? It's an exciting time in running shoes right now because we're seeing the emergence of a true new category of the non-plated performance trainer. Now, this has been around before, but it's been gone for the past few years and most recently replaced by the whole super trainer thing. Now, I don't like the word super trainer and I'm going to stop using it on this channel. That's going to be a whole other video that I'm going to make, so subscribe if you want to see that. But for the sake of this video, these are the two best non-plated performance trainers on the market, but there are significant differences between them. And as always with my versus videos, let's start with the specs. Now, on paper, these two shoes are very similar. Similar stack heights, similar drops, similar weights. The Nike Pegasus Plus is a little bit lower to the ground, and given that there's no official specs on this shoe, the specs are changing. I've seen a couple more millimeters in the forefoot and heel, but the Pegasus Plus is a lower to the ground feeling shoe. It weighs a little bit more, but not substantially. You're not going to really feel that. And the drop between these two shoes is very similar. And I would say the real feel of both of these is 6 to 8 millimeters because you have sink into both of these. Now, the key difference between these two shoes is the midsole technology. They both have Nike and Adidas's premier racing foams in them, but they have different implementations. In the Nike Pegasus Plus, we have a full ZoomX one-piece midsole. It's not recycled ZoomX, this is real ZoomX. It is the more rubberized or more durable version that we've seen in the Nike Streakfly or the Nike Invincible. It's not quite the same as what we see in the Vaporfly or the Alphafly, but it still has that ZoomX feel. And overall, the Pegasus Plus has a mild forefoot rocker and what I would consider a modern ride, though overall it is much more traditional feeling than the Adidas Adizero SL2. Now, in the SL2, we have a Lightstrike 2.0 midsole with a core of Lightstrike Pro foam in that. So Lightstrike 2.0 is a softer EVA carrier foam, and from the heel to the forefoot, not all the way into the toe, it stops around the ball of the foot. We have a Lightstrike Pro core, and Lightstrike Pro is Adidas's premier racing foam. Now, that takes a little of the performance out of the Adizero SL2, but it makes it a much better daily training option. And overall, the geometry of the midsole is very neutral and a very cushioned ride. You feel much more foam in the forefoot especially. It definitely feels like there's more stack height in the Adizero SL2. And there is a forefoot rocker, so you do get a much more rolling ride. But if we look at how these shoes feel from a midsole standpoint, I would call the Nike Pegasus Plus very resilient. You get that ZoomX sink and you get that extreme ZoomX energy return when you unweight the shoe. It's a very, very explosive, very dynamic ride. That's ZoomX foam. In the Adidas Adizero SL2, I would call that a very neutral, very balanced ride. The Lightstrike 2.0 carrier foam definitely takes the edge off Lightstrike Pro, but when you really put some effort into your running, you are getting the benefit of the Lightstrike Pro core and you do feel that performance. So they're getting to similar results just in very different ways. Looking at the contact patch and the outsole of these two shoes, you can see a significant difference already. The geometry overall of the shoes are extremely different. In the Nike Pegasus Plus, we have a much more pointy shoe, and the widest point is a little bit behind the ball of the foot. Now, what that does, even for a forefoot striker like me, is it forces me to land a little bit further back, but that makes me engage more of the ZoomX foam. So I'm getting a much more explosive ride because of that. Where in the Adidas Adizero SL2, we have a huge, wonderful forefoot contact patch, all of this rubber, and the widest point of the shoe is right under the ball of the foot. So as a forefoot striker, I'm getting a very solid, very anchored platform in the forefoot. Now, between these two shoes, I do think the outsole on the Adidas Adizero SL2 is the better one. I think the rubber coverage is better. The Nike Pegasus Plus outsole is fine. It does the job. I just think there's a missed opportunity. I think Nike could have done a better job with it. And from a width standpoint, I would also say that the Adizero SL2 does feel a little bit more substantial underfoot, though because of some flares in the midsole and the heel in the Pegasus Plus, I would say that shoe feels a little bit more stable, a little bit more anchored. And some of that is the lower stack height also of the Pegasus Plus. And as I said with the outsoles of these two shoes, I think they both do the job, but I think the outsole on the Adidas Adizero SL2 is just the better outsole, better rubber coverage, better grip. But for training context on road or track, the Pegasus Plus will do just fine. Moving to the fit of these two shoes and starting with the Nike Pegasus Plus, overall we have a very accommodating training upper on the Pegasus Plus. And for the first time in a long time, Nike's actually calling this Flyknit, and it feels like real Flyknit. Now in the heel of this shoe, we have a very standard Pegasus heel counter and ankle collar, meaning there's a lot of padded, there's a deep pocket back here, you should have no heel lift issues. But in the midfoot to the forefoot, we have that very accommodating, very stretchy sock-like fit, which is, quintessential Flyknit feel. This is Flyknit from like 10 years ago. It feels like that sock wrapping around your foot. So the midfoot lockdown in this shoe and the way the forefoot feels, where there's a lot of volume in here, there's actually a lot of volume in this forefoot as well. It's just a nicely locked down midfoot with a good heel pocket back here. There should be no heel lift issues and ample room for your toes to kind of move around in the forefoot of the shoe. Overall, a very, very good training fit. And this upper really does fit between the upper of, say, a Pegasus 41 and something like a Vaporfly. It's a little bit closer to what you'd find on a Vaporfly or Nike's race shoes, but it still very much is a very accommodating, very soft, very compliant upper to the foot for training context. It works very, very well. And moving to the Adidas Adizero SL2, this upper could not be more different. Now it is still a training upper, but it's very much an Adizero upper. Now if you run in any Adizero shoe, you kind of know what that means. We have the Adizero heel, which means if you've had heel problems in Adizero shoes in the past, this one's probably not going to be any different. However, there is a lot more padding in this shoe, and there's a lot of attention paid to make the heel lockdown in this shoe much better with more padding for a training context. But compared to the Pegasus Plus, this upper material is very nice, but it's very Adizero, meaning it's a very no stretch, no give material. It will wrap around the foot, but it's not that compliant to the foot, and there will be absolutely no stretch to this shoe. So what you're going to get out of the box in this upper is kind of how it's going to stay. Now we have a minimal TPU toe bumper, which keeps the material off the toe, and we have some TPU reinforcement on the eyelet chain, which again does a decent job of lockdown. However, this is an Adizero shoe, so we have Adizero laces, which are not the best laces, but we have a very padded tongue, so it does take some of the lace bite out. Overall, I think this is a big upgrade from the last generation SL upper, which was very overly mushy and padded, and then something like the Boston 12, which maybe was a little bit more race oriented and not the best training upper. I think for Adidas Adizero training upper, this is probably the best one they've done to date, and you can tell they really tried to make this as accommodating as possible for training purposes. Now both of these shoes are US men's size 9, which is my size, so I went true to size in both these shoes. But one difference that you can see when you look at the shoes like this, and I've already pointed this out when we looked at the outsole, is that the Peg Plus is a little bit more pointy, which means that you're going to have a few more millimeters in front of the toe in the Peg Plus than you would in the Adizero SL2. Now, both of these I would consider not really wide shoes. They're not narrow shoes, but if you have a wider foot, the Peg Plus is going to be the better option for you because this Flyknit upper, especially in the midfoot and the forefoot, is going to stretch and accommodate a wider foot. Plus, you have such a wide midsole in this shoe that you're not going to have your foot spilling over this shoe very much. So this is the better option for a wide foot. I think if you have a wide foot in this shoe, you can try sizing up half a size, maybe a full size. But again, the upper on this shoe is never going to really give, definitely compared to the Peg Plus. So it's not going to always be the best option. Now there should be a wide option available of the SL2. I don't know if there will be a wide version available of the Peg Plus. So if you do have a wide foot, you may want to wait for that and see if it comes out. One last thing to note about the Adizero SL2 is that if you're a heel striker or a midfoot striker and you have any level of pronation, forget this shoe exists. The design and the geometry of the shoe, especially this outsole, this rail right here, is a pronator's worst nightmare. If you have even mild pronation in your heel striker or midfoot striker in this shoe, it's going to turn that mild pronation into extreme pronation. It's just something you need to consider about this shoe. So again, if you have any level of pronation as a heel striker or midfoot striker, don't go for this shoe. If you're a forefoot striker, you may be okay because there's enough sort of flare on the medial side in the forefoot of the shoe that will actually support that, but there's nothing in the heel or the midfoot of the shoe. Something to keep in mind. Mild pronation in the Nike Pegasus Plus won't be a problem because there is a very substantial forefoot flare in this shoe, and there's also a very substantial medial heel flare in this shoe. So this shoe will definitely accommodate protecting pronation. Plus the midsole has a bunch of sidewalls all the way around that, so it's really going to cradle the foot and help to recenter the foot on foot strike. So this is going to be a much better option for anyone who has any level of pronation. I said in the upfront of this video that these are both performance trainers, but there's different ranges and there's differences in the type of performance these shoes provide. And I think the best way of illustrating that is to look at my performance matrix. Now, this performance matrix is something that I use a lot to compare shoes because I think it really illustrates the ranges that these shoes are designed around. So again, we have these 4 ranges of easy, steady, threshold, and max effort. And if we map the Nike Pegasus Plus and the Adidas Adizero SL2 on this is what you get. Now, I've shown both these in other videos and they've not changed any. And I think this immediately shows the differences between these two shoes. While they both are performance trainers, I think the Nike Pegasus Plus is truly a performance trainer, where the Adidas Adizero SL2 is more of a performance daily trainer. Now, the sweet spot for both these shoes is the red or the orange area, and I think for the Nike Pegasus Plus, that's really getting into threshold running. I think it does that exceptionally well. It is absolutely outstanding for that type of running and getting into workouts. So any sort of max effort running, the Nike Pegasus Plus is exceptional for that. It will do the easy stuff. It's just the sweet spot and where it's happiest is really getting into threshold, into max effort running. Whereas as you can see with the SL2, the real sweet spot of that is really getting into steady running. I've found that shoe to just be exceptional for just locking into a pace around 20 to 30 seconds off your race pace, and it just will keep ticking over the kilometers. It just does that type of running exceptionally well. Now, you can definitely do threshold and max effort running in the SL2, but it's not happiest there. I think there's other options. And on that note, if I put 2 other shoes on this performance matrix, I think it really shows what these 2 shoes are designed to do. So if we add the Nike Pegasus 41 and we add the Adidas Adizero Takumi Sen 10, now you can really see how these shoes compete. Now, I have already talked a lot about this in my SL2 content. I'll put a link in the description to a couple of those videos, but I really feel that the Adidas Adizero SL2 and the Takumi Sen 10 are really designed to work together, because everything that the SL2 doesn't do well, the Takumi Sen 10 does really well, and vice versa. It really is a combination of trainer and racer, and it works exceptionally well. Now, back to the Pegasus, with the Nike Pegasus 41 and the Nike Pegasus Plus, those are both trainers, but there is a lot of overlap and extending of range there. And I think you can begin to see that the type of performance that the Pegasus Plus and the Adizero SL2 offer differs considerably. I do think the Adidas Adizero SL2 is an exceptional performance daily trainer. It's that daily trainer that you can buy to just really do everything in, and when you need the performance, it's there. Whereas the Nike Pegasus Plus is definitely more of that performance trainer, something that would, I think, replace what previously people were calling super trainers or the plated tempo trainers. I think the Pegasus Plus really now fits in there very well, and that's really what the Pegasus Plus is competing against. I think these are both very exciting shoes, and they're both a lot of fun to run in. Now, both of them are part of a larger rotation, where I think the SL2 is really the foundation of a rotation. This is your daily trainer that you can build in a tempo trainer or a super trainer. Again, I don't like that word. And then into a race shoe, where this is a shoe that sits somewhere between a daily trainer and a race shoe. Now, this is a great shoe that you can really go out and do anything in. And when you need to pick up the pace to do kind of a workout or something, this is going to be a great option for that. where this is your dedicated performance trainer that's probably going to, I think, compete more head to head with what people have been calling super trainers. Again, I don't like that word. I'm going to stop using it. But I really do think this shoe is competing against the next tier up, where this shoe is just probably one of the best, if not the best, daily trainer on the market currently. Thank you for making it to the end of the video. If you find this content useful, consider subscribing. You'll see more content from me pop up in your feed. If you already are a subscriber, I've enabled memberships now on this channel. Click the join button below the video title or use the link in the video description to find out more. If neither one of those options are good, leave a like on this video because it helps this channel continue to grow, which I always appreciate. And with that, I'll catch you in the next one.